I've been asked this week to teach something about writing a persuasive essay, and I realized I'd not actually made any videos about writing a persuasive essay, so here it is. And a persuasive essay is doing exactly what it says it's doing. It's persuading. So if you're going to write a lot of description, you're doing the wrong thing. A persuasive essay goes all the way back to the old issues of rhetoric and oratory, the old issues of trying to convince an audience to do what you want them to do. This is why the ancient Romans were taught rhetoric, so they could convince an audience, often a jury, to let them go. This was a matter of life and death. And we can think of so many of the rhetorical devices which are still useful today. There are rhetorical questions. Have you thought of a rhetorical question? Of course you have. I would advise that you don't use a rhetorical question too often. A rhetorical question, although you give the answer, often expects the examiner to do some work, and examiners don't like that. But there's another device which is ever useful, and that is the tricolon. Putting things in threes. Always of value, always of purpose, always elegant. So in a persuasive essay, you're going to do exactly what you would do in any other essay. You're going to structure it, I suggest, in 5 paragraphs. In paragraph 1, you're going to introduce your topic. In paragraph 5, you're going to write your conclusion. So the focus, I suggest, is in paragraphs 2, 3, and 4, not in paragraph 1. You will hear many people on the internet say that what you've got to do is get your introduction right. Actually, most of the time, your examiner is paid to read your script, so you don't need to stress over the introduction. They're going to read that anyway. It's more important that not to grab somebody's attention, but to maintain, to hold their attention. So it's paragraphs 2, 3, and 4 which matter. The introduction, for what it's worth, answers the question, how do I understand my topic? How do I interpret this question? It's sometimes called the thesis statement, but I would get it down to the shortest possible sentence that you can and then get on with the task. Paragraphs 2 and 3 are reassuring the examiner that you know what you're talking about. That means, in technical language, you establish the ethos. The ethos is your ethical your ethical writing. Can you be trusted to write about this topic? Do you know your subject? Have you done your research? Do you understand your audience? Will the reader trust you? So in paragraphs 2 and 3, I would suggest that you record the sort of traditions, the sort of arguments which have been put forward in the past. So if you're writing about climate change, you need to know some facts about climate change. And paragraphs 2 and 3, at a pinch, maybe you need 3 facts in paragraph 2 and 3 facts in paragraph 3. They can be for or against the proposition. It doesn't really matter. Within paragraphs 2 and 3, you're also going to be establishing your pathos. Your pathos, or preparing for your pathos. Your pathos is your appeal to the emotion. This is really what a persuasive essay is all about. And it reaches its full pitch in paragraph 4. Paragraph 4, you're evoking feelings, you're triggering a response in the reader, you're making a reader accept your point of view. And paragraph 4 is that one argument which you think is going to clinch your essay and is going to persuade your reader to do something. So you have to decide with a persuasive essay what you want your reader to do. If you write a persuasive letter, if you write, for example, to a politician, very early in that letter you need to establish what you want the person to do, probably within the opening line, because otherwise the politician is not going to read your letter. What should I do? And the main body of your letter would indicate the detail of that. the same thing is in effect true here in paragraph 4. What should I do? We have to have some action. It's a call to action. And this is a mixture of the pathos and the logos, to use those terms. The pathos is the emotional heart. The logos is the reason which is used to persuade the reader, the logical path that somebody will follow. And in that, maybe you will anticipate dissent, you will discredit opposition, you will lay out a choice. And this is your solution, this is your proposition, nothing vague. It's a call to action, and you need to be specific. Now, there are certain persuasive techniques you can use, particularly in this paragraph 4. Repetition, but it's not simple repetition, particularly with a British essay where British English hates the repetition of a word. Most European languages, most languages actually love repetition. That intensifies the argument. In British English, we hate it. What we like and what we respond to is the repetition of an idea. So we're looking for synonyms. Number 2, storytelling. Anecdotal evidence, particularly if it is personal, particularly if it is invested with emotion, with pathos. And then, of course, dealing with dissent, anticipating dissent, tackling dissent before it is even voiced, along with the call for action. These are the 4 persuasive techniques which are your friends. Finally, what about proofreading and what about drafting? So if you've got a persuasive essay to write and you've got lots of time to do it, you've got a week to do it, let's say, or 3 or 4 days to do it, draft it on a Monday, write it on a Tuesday, revise it on a Wednesday. Don't become a paper tosser. It's so bad. A new blank page is not a fresh start. A new blank page is an admission of error, defeat. What is so much better is a revised sentence. And it's always good to see where you've been. Don't fill up the waste paper bin in frustration. What you should learn to do is to manage your mood, to focus. And I suggest that probably means switching off the music. You need to focus on the task in hand, and you need to plan your time. If you're in an exam, your time is arranged for you. You've probably got 40 minutes or so, so you need to work fast. Do spend a few minutes writing a plan, particularly structuring those arguments that you will use in paragraph 4. Stick them on a piece of paper before you start writing the essay itself. Then you know where you're going. Then you're not going to fall into the trap of using those elements from paragraph 4 in paragraphs 1, 2, or 3. That way, you end up having to say, oh, and as I said before, oh, I'm repeating myself, which of course is highly unattractive and doesn't command a high grade. It doesn't endear yourself to the examiner. So I think that's everything I would have to say about writing a persuasive essay. I hope you get on with it well, and I look forward to hearing your progress.